As a 20-something-year-old self-identified man in the middle of America, I oftentimes ask myself this question, and I'm almost certain that it's the same question that a lot of us are asking ourselves, at least at some level, right? And that question is, who is to blame for modern day relationships? Is it the modern man? Is it the modern women? Or is it somewhere in between? Well, very few people are saying is it somewhere in between. Most people are saying it's the man's fault. Others are saying it's the women's fault. And there's this kind of crossfire that continues to take place. Now, as for myself, obviously, as a male who is interested in women, or a little more than interested, it was easy for me to point the finger the other way, right? Because I don't want to take responsibility of what it meant if I was the actual problem. Therefore, I just kind of joined aside, right? And for us, it was like the manosphere, the red pill space, or whatever it may be, right? At the time, it didn't really have a name when I really got into it. But by this point, it is so self-defined. It's like red pill, manosphere, right? The alpha male space, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But yeah, I chose that side and I leaned heavily into that because it gave me an out. It made me feel as if I could continue to blame and never really have to take accountability for my own actions. Now, of course, this is in hindsight, right? When I was in it, I wasn't thinking to myself, I'm not going to take accountability for what I'm doing in these relationships. Therefore, I'm going to place that blame or project that blame onto you. Now, looking back and having a little more insight and a lot more honesty about the situation, I've come to realize that the fault is not the man's. Surprisingly not. I know you probably didn't expect me to say this. It's not the men's fault, but it's also not the women's fault. As a matter of fact, it's not a subgroup of individuals. And I don't even think it's just one individual or two individuals. I believe it is a personal problem. Now, let me break this down a little bit because this is going to be a triggering message for those who are not used to a message about personal accountability and responsibility. I know that irks us, especially in this day and age. Responsible. No, I'm good. Let's just continue the blame game. Yeah. When I really started to unpack this, right? And I was seeing that, men were struggling out there, women were struggling out there. Everybody in between seemed to be struggling in some of the same ways. But again, for me, I only knew the dynamic between, men and women, the quote unquote modern day man and the quote unquote modern day women, right? Whatever the hell that means. I guess, again, it's an age bracket, right? So those of us who are living in what I call the fastest changing period of time in history, and it's not just me who calls it that, it literally is, right? Technology has been on an absolute incline. Like for 10,000 years, we're just like this, and then all of a sudden we just hit this spike. And so what's come as a byproduct of that is the culture that we now live in. We live in a culture where this thing is calling for my attention right now, right? This thing just went off right now. And immediately I was thinking, oh, who hit me up? I wasn't thinking, wow, what a beautiful day today. Wow, look at my life. That's amazing. No, I literally stopped everything and said that thing is priority. And so we live in a day and age where these things are essentially our inseparable companions, if I could even call it that. Right? There are addiction, there are drug, there are vice, device, if you really want to break it down etymologically. I don't even think that's the word, but whatever. Y'all can put the real word in the comments. But I want to get back to the point. So modern men and modern women, we found ourselves in this place where we're continuously pointing the blame to one another. Who's the reason for the dysfunction? Who's the reason for the toxicity? Who's the reason for the chaos, right? If you go to one side, all of them are narcissists. Go to the other side, all of them are narcissists. You go to one side, all of them are gold diggers. Go to this side, all of them will use you for nothing but And who's right in that? Who's the one who's justified? Because you have your experiences, I have my own. And I could justify my own perspective of it's your fault, it's their fault, off of my own anecdotal experience. I could base everything off of what I've been through, right? Because this happened to me, it has to be the way that it is. And that's what happened to me when I fell into that red pill manosphere space. I was getting confirmation bias continuously. I would think the thing and not know that I'm creating these circumstances, or I would have a certain way of viewing the world. And if anything contradicted that, if anything deviated from that, I would not pay attention to it. I could not. And so I would continuously go to the people who matched the belief that I had. If there was a woman who was a quote unquote good woman in my life, I could not see her because my perception was all women bad, right? All women are the enemy, or all women are out to get you at the very least. Like the Manosphere, they like to say, oh, it's not about making women enemies, but it really is. When you say it's this person's fault and this person is the reason behind my own suffering, you are making that person your oppressor. You're making that person the enemy. You're becoming fixated on your hatred towards that other individual. Whether we want to accept that or not, that's the point blank truth. And I'm not here to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I am here to tell it as it is. And again, this is my own experience, but what I've seen is it is not their fault and it is not our fault. Well, technically it's our fault, but it's not on a specific side, right? It's not like, oh, because they start sleeping around, then they brought this entirely new mentality, or because of social media and they're putting themselves out. Like, yes, these are factors, but that's not the bottom line. That's not the root cause. The root cause is actually to do with, well, the root cause is your mama. If we really want to get down to it, your mama did it. I'm playing. The therapist in me really wants to say like it's your mother's fault, it's your father's fault. And again, there is some merit to that as far as whoever it is that raised you up created at least your initial programming, your initial conditioning was based off of their own belief systems, the way in which they lived, the way in which they engaged with life, etc. Right? So you did get a lot of your programming in those first 7 years of your life. However, at this point in time, as adults, or at least close to adults, or a little past what we would consider an adult, we have to start taking accountability for this. We have to start taking responsibility for our own lives. And I know, again, it can be a painful experience. And that's why we continue to throw around these words like victim blaming and victim shaming, which I see, again, I completely stand behind when they're used correctly. When they're used in not trying to negate responsibility from oneself. And we believe that if I don't take responsibility, I'm going to be free, when in truth, you become incarcerated. You become an enslaved being the moment that you blame. As soon as I blame somebody, I'm giving them my power. That's what I'm actually doing. It's an exchange of power. And we're talking about getting your power back, right? Stepping in your power, personal power, but yet we blame everybody for everything in our lives. And we wonder why we feel out of control. We wonder why we feel powerless. And so I am here to reframe this message and say, the reason for why we are where we are, the modern day relationship is the way it is because the individual has forgotten who they are, right? We have forgotten what we are because we give ourselves to these devices and we give ourselves to instant gratification. And really at the core of it is because we don't believe that we're worthy in and of ourselves. We believe that in order for us to be worthy of love, we need to portray ourselves in a certain way. We need a certain image, a certain mirage, a certain facade that we put on ourselves. And, all I have to say to that is, I wish you knew who you were. Like, I wish you knew how worthy you actually are to be loved, regardless of what you've done or not have done within this lifetime. And I know that's a new message for a lot of people. And for some, you might even be triggered by that. Well, does that mean you don't take personal responsibility? Well, you're supposed to build yourself up into this alpha woman or alpha man. No. I'm not taking away from any of that. What I'm saying is reevaluating your value on the basis of who you are. Oh, wait, you mean what I do? No. I didn't say what you do. I didn't say your title. I said who you are, which is your own being, your humanness, your divineness, which you're not going to be told by most, especially not these dating coaches. They might tell you, divine queen or, divine king or masculine king, whatever. They might throw those titles on it, but I'm talking about something far deeper, not the superficial version of it. I'm talking about at the core of who we are. And so when we, again, play this blame game, we're really running from that internal work of viewing ourselves, seeing ourselves, and realizing, man, I'm believing things about myself that aren't true, that are causing me to act in certain ways that are destructive to my own good. And of course, it's then going to have an effect on everybody around you. It's like if you take a deeply insecure individual who does not deal with their insecurities, they are bound to project those insecurities onto everybody around them. That is a guarantee. That is a fact. Okay? So when you have an entire generation, an entire era where there is nothing besides deep insecurity and seeking external validation, when you have that, it creates this type of society. And I'm still not even putting it on quote unquote society, because we are society. Us as an individual, or the individuals, create the society. So we have to start looking at ourselves. Gandhi said a long time ago, and others said it way before he did. Way, way before he did. Trust me. In order to change the world, we have to change ourselves. So in order to change the world around us, literally our own life experience, we have to become something different. I couldn't stay that same person and continue and attract something different. I could only continue to attract the thing that I was attracting. If I did not become a different sort of man, a man of character, a man of integrity, I could not attract that out of somebody else. And we think that, doing the external, the superficial stuff is going to take care of the internal. But we attract off of energy. That's universal law. I don't write it, I just teach it. We are attracting, we are manifesting, we are creating a life based upon our truest belief systems. Okay? That's how that is. And so anybody who wants to stay in that place of blame, I promise you right now, if you want to stay a slave for the rest of your life, continue to blame the people around you for your own current circumstances. Period. That is a guarantee. That's a formula. I'm going to give you a recipe. Step 1, blame. Step 2, continue to blame. Step 3, repeat. That's how you stay in that very same place. That's how you go nowhere in your life every single time. So that being said, let me know if you want a part 2 of this, and I can dig into a few aspects or different aspects, right? I can get into the controversial whatever and what are people really saying about each other, but I'm not here for the drama. I'm here for freedom, and I'm here for empowerment, period. That's what I'm on. Like the real version, not we're going to stand in a group and kumbaya and throw up a little sign. Like I'm about that real, like do the work and free yourself from within, period. And allow your life around you to manifest and become exactly what you desire. That's what I'm about. That being said, I'm going to plug this book in because this is my video. Now, this is my first published book, Doing Me Guilt-Free. Make sure you get that. This is a new little setup I got, right? I moved recently, so new setup. But Doing Me Guilt-Free, this is my first published book, Breaking Free from People-Pleasing and Unleashing Your Personal Power. Make sure to get yourself a copy. It's not going to be this big. You're going to get like the normal size. This is just my big manuscript. I'm actually waiting on my smaller version to be shipped over to me as well. Even though I got, so many beautiful people have already bought their copies and they've got a small version before I have, which is okay. Actually, it's better off. I'd rather y'all have it quick than, me hoarding them up. So yeah, I'm waiting on my copy to come that's smaller than that. But you might get yours in the very same time as I do if you order it today. So make sure to click in the description below, get your copy. Till the next time, I'm out of here. See, I was looking at my damn phone. Look at that. Could be looking at Babe, but I'm looking at the